When doing a project like this, you have two very high-level components. One is design and one is construction. Breaking design down into more detail, there are many steps involved there. The first step, we physically go to every address in the GIS database and validate that there's a building there, what type of building it is, what kind of service would be likely best for that, and then fill that back into the data set. That flows into the design system with the GIS data from the electric department. Once that design data gets presented to BRE, they take that and run it through a very large computer system to start doing a high-level design. And it maps out a fiber network to all those addresses that were validated using our electric path. After high-level design is done, we go into the pole survey process, and they are addressing every single pole. They're measuring the height of the power space and the location, the communication attachments that are there presently, and they're taking pole pictures. All of that data then rolls back into SpringNet's engineering group, and they start doing make-ready engineering for those poles. And the engineers then create construction drawings that will be used by line contractors to go back and make pole adjustments and make space available for the new fiber attachment. Another step in the make-ready process is tree trimming. We evaluate how the trees are affecting our power distribution system, which is all the space from the neutral down to the ground. Then those trees get issued to either CU employees or our tree trimming subcontractors to go out and trim the spans. Then we have another process whereby civil engineers take that data after it's gone back to BRE for a final design stage, and then they do what's called a construction write-out. They actually have the design engineering drawings for the fiber network in their hands, and they go back in the field to make sure it's constructible. They're looking at things to make sure there's nothing that would inhibit that construction from happening. So they'll make changes in the field in the construction write-out process and feed that data back to BRE before they issue the actual end product of the design and construction, which is called Digital Construction Pack. Once the Digital Construction Pack is finished, it then gets handed over to ADB companies. So their employees or their subcontractors then take those drawings and go out in the field and start building the fiber network. There's two major pieces that need to be built: the aerial side in our electric distribution system, and also underground space, which happens in the right-of-way. Throughout the construction process, we're making a concerted effort to notify customers before we get to their property. Prior to underground work, we do locates, which means that the locating company will go out and actually paint over electric, gas, water, and sewer and other communication lines under the ground, and then place flags. Before that process starts, the contractors go through and put door hangers on all the doors in the area in which locates are going to happen. Part of the fiber instruction is fairly intensive. Let's talk the aerial space first. When you look at what needs to be done there, we're talking bucket trucks, lots of crew members that need to be on the ground as well as in the air, and that sometimes involves lane closures as workers span 3, 4, 5 power pole spans to stretch out cable along the ground and then get that lifted up in the air and then attached to the poles. That's a big piece of what happens in the aerial world. The underground world is very busy as well. It involves lots of boring rigs that are large machines that put basically a drill bit underground, underneath driveways, sidewalks, roads and streets and impediments, and then come up on the other side. Then they dig holes and place vaults where the drill bits came out and then pull conduit back through. So as you can imagine, that involves lots of front yards and lots of property that other people own. And so that oftentimes is concerning. However, it is the focus of the subcontractors to put all the surfaces back to how they originally were. Once a segment is done and turned back over to City Utilities and the broadband group, we go out and make sure that it was built to specification, and then if that's okay, they hand it over to SpringNet's fiber technicians to do fiber testing.
1AH074.
Our fiber technicians go out and put equipment on either end of the fiber and test the light levels to make sure that there's loss that is acceptable and not over a certain amount that makes that fiber unusable. If all the fiber testing goes well, that means that segment that's been tested is now ready to be handed over to the tenant to start using to serve customers.